Superman. We spent all of last week's episode breaking it down. It was a great discussion. There was no yelling and screaming. We made a lot of great points, and I felt very comfortable about where we left it. And we said, now we're going to wait and see what happens. Now our discussions are about the box office, and unfortunately, the behavior of the James Gunn fans, of the fabulous people who are James Gunn's fans. And I'm not talking about the people who I've had legitimate discussions with who like this movie. I'm talking about the window-licking rabid droolers who are on social media. That's who I'm talking about, who are behaving like this thing is literally the second coming of Jesus. Like he has risen. That's what it feels like the way they're treating this. But before we get into that, we must, of course, talk about the box office. Here we are, week 2. The numbers are in. Global gross, $406 million. Do we see a problem here?
This should have been opening weekend numbers.
Yes.
It's just like what I said last week. By week 2, this show needed, in order to give itself a fighting chance, needed over $500 million. That is what I said.
Yep.
They are $100 million short.
Yep.
To even, it's not even about justifying existence. Giving yourself an opportunity to break even.
Oh,
it's getting bad.
Not even. I mean, Dre, to that, my response to you last week was everybody around the world needed to wake up in that moment and say, "I need to go see Superman," and they didn't, because last week its international was 95 million. This week they only pulled in 76 million internationally. It's lagging behind what is a respectable domestic. Let's not let biases cloud our judgment. 235 domestic is respectable. It had a good week, so much so that every day on freaking X Twitter, I had to see posts about, oh, it's had the best Tuesday this year. It had the best Wednesday this year. I had to suffer that all week long. But it did have a good week. It made more money. Congratulations. To the point where it only had a 54% drop. I said it would have 60. I revised it about midweek and said 55. So here we are. Is this bad, guys? Is this good legs?
No, these are really good legs for what it had. At this point in this era, a 50% dropper in the 50s is what you hope for. That's about the average of calling good. This movie needed, though, like a 30% drop or something insane just to maintain its legs. And the word of mouth is good. Those Tuesday and Wednesday numbers are really impressive, but they're Tuesday, Wednesday numbers. They don't make a huge difference on the overall. And the word of mouth can only carry this stuff so far because there is a lot of conflicting reports about this film. I don't think there's a consensus that this movie is liked or hated at this point. There's too much discussion going on to have a consensus at all. And when there's a situation like that, word of mouth is not going to carry the film. But it's still respectable. It's not what it needed, though.
I mean,
it doesn't fix all the problems.
Dre, when I want to look at one particular moment-to-moment drop, week-to-week drop here. Here's the original Friday. I believe this is the 12th was the Friday. Yeah, 12th was the Friday.
Well, I think it was the 11th.
The 11th? 11th?
Yeah,
okay,
because they highlight the week.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So the 11th. The 11th to the 18th. That's a 70% drop from Friday to Friday. That means very few people went back and saw this again.
That is correct. And the numbers are a little deceiving with the percentage drop, and that's the issue. Like, yes, 54% drop in a normal circumstance, this would be fantastic. But this joint didn't make no money last week. That's the problem. This joint make no money.
Yep.
125 million domestic last week, opening weekend for freaking Superman.
And you make another 110 million following that. That's all you made in the following
That's
week.
it. You need $700 million to potentially break even.
And that's on the domestic side.
Yes.
On the domestic side. There's no the story of this is, let's be honest, domestic, this is respectable. It's not great, but it's
Sure.
respectable. It has an audience. I disagree with them massively, and I've made all of my points clear why. But you look at this right here. International,
They don't care.
$171 million. And there's a question I want to pose to you. Why? Why is
They
this
don't
international
care.
so low? When previous Superman movies, as it has been pointed out by other channels all week long, have grossed higher internationally, going all the way back to Christopher Reeve in the first Superman movie in
Yep.
78.
Mhm. Mhm.
Why has this movie been rejected by the rest of the world?
Well, there's a lot of factors that go into that, but one, I'm gonna just look. I'll be biased. And I don't care. James Gunn. James Gunn's the problem. I don't care what anyone else has to say. James Gunn is the problem. Stick to wacky, wavy, arm flailing characters. Enough. That's where you belong. Make your Justice Gang movie. That's where you
Mhm.
belong.
Mhm.
Make another Guardians-esque character mashup. That's where you belong. You don't belong in Superman. And I think the international audience believes that as well. I believe that
Mhm.
they don't like James Gunn in this type of film. And as someone that saw the film as well as everyone else has, all the James Gunn isms were the worst part of these films. They're disastrous. Whenever something was going well, I knew he had nothing to do with it every single time. So yeah,
Ah,
so I think the main corporate is James Gunn. Number two, I know this is a tired expression, but the idea of superhero fatigue, I'm not going to use it in its basic people just throw the word around. I'm using it in its proper form where there's been so many bad superhero films over the last 5 years that the international market is walking away from superhero films. They're walking away from it. You can blame Marvel for that one. You can blame them for that. Well, DC didn't help either because they just produced garbage from the beginning to the end, but all the same. The fatigue of bad superhero films is affecting the international box office. Period. They're tired of walking to wherever they is they got to go to, whatever cinemas they have, and then wasting their money and time. Now this time, in my personal opinion, like I said, I had fun with this movie. It's not good, but I had fun with this movie. And now people don't even want to run the risk of just running into like, oh, here comes trash. And that's why nobody's seeing this joint. Now, like you said, domestic box office, all things considered, very good. But this movie costs too much money.
yep, and that's the problem. The lie that they're running with, that it's 225 100 production marketing, which is the lie. Hollywood Reporter was the one that broke the story. 363, they confirmed it with the Ohio Attack Records, and they in that same article confirmed $200 million marketing. That's a $600 million, 550 to $600 million movie. You don't even multiply. You don't even need to do the 2.5. You simply multiply it times two. That's essentially $1 billion break even.
Yep.
And Jed, they're not even going to get there. I feel like my prediction of 550 to 650, it's right on target. This movie's got about another $200 million in it domestically, maybe, and about another 150 in it, possibly,
That's a
for
stretch.
international.
I don't know if I would say 150 because at this point we started
I'm
out
being
sub
generous.
100 million
Being generous,
in
yeah.
their week one, and now we're
Mhm.
even going farther down. We're going to be lucky to see, I'd say, 55 million internationally next week, and
Mhm.
then the week after that, 20 some odd. And I don't know if that can stack up to 150, but 100 to 150, I think, is a
It
fair
might get
enough.
to 250. It might get to 250 international. It
Yeah,
might.
250 I think is a good ceiling
So
for it to talk about here. And again, just like with Lilo and Stitch when we bring it up, it all depends on how long they leave it in the theaters because the theater windows used to be 90 days. That used to be the norm 5-10 years ago. Now it's barely 40 days is the norm. Not in 90 days, 60 days, whatever they do, it all depends on that because they might limp to 700, 650, 700 if they leave it in for closer to 60 to 90 days. But even with that, they're never going to sniff at profit. It doesn't matter how long they leave it in.
There's a problem next week, though, Jed. Fantastic Four.
Yeah, that's going to eat a big part of that pie.
Good or bad. I mean, there will be a chunk of people will go see Fantastic Four instead of go to Superman next week.
100%.
And
I don't think that's a stretch on any level. People are gonna go see Fantastic Four on its opening weekend. I'm pretty sure they'll be disappointed after they see it, but nonetheless,
yes,
they're going to go see it. That's going to eat up at the chunk of Superman's money, potential money.
Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Yeah, so you maybe get another 150 out of domestic. You maybe get another roughly 100 out of the international when all is said and done with diminishing returns. And if you keep cutting everything in half every week, it falls down to that 550 to 650 range I predicted. And that's a loss of at least $300 million. At least $300 million for DC, who are already broke. Warner Brothers. I mean Warner Brothers when I say that. So this is not the success that people want to keep pretending it is.
Well, Warner Brothers has already admitted that it isn't a success, and they knew it wasn't going to be leading into it because James Gunn himself said, like a week or two before the movie came out, it doesn't matter if this movie makes money, my future is secure. That tells you that they had conversations, and he was assured about that because the conversations were being had. This movie was going to be a failure. They knew it was going to be, and I don't know if those conversations are true, if his place is actually secure. I can imagine it will be, at least for the next few years. It shouldn't,
whatever his contract says.
Whatever his contract says. But at this point, I'm certain that they knew it was going to be a failure. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done pre-damage control. And if they're admitting it, the stands should admit it as well. It's just a fool's errand to try to defend this film at this point.
Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Check out my gaming channel at Renaissance Nerd Arcade and follow me on X Twitter under @TheRedNerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.